Hi Year 10. Today what we're doing is we're looking at equations with two fractions. What you should have done is had a go at the do now questions on your sheet. If you haven't, please pause the video and have a go at them now. For our do now questions, we are asked to solve the following. So when we're asked to solve something, it means find the value of our pronumeral. So in this case, we're finding the value of x for each of these equations. For the first one here, we have a simple one-step equation which says x plus 3 equals 7. So we want the x to be by itself, so we need to remove the plus 3 by doing the opposite operation. So we need to minus 3 from both sides. That leaves us with x equals 7 minus 3 is 4. For equation 2, we have 2x plus 1 equals 9. This is a two-step equation. What you should have done is minus the 1 from both sides. This leaves you with 2x equals 8, and then you should have divided the 2 from both sides, and we are left with x equals 4. For question 3, we have pronumerals on both sides. What we need to do is we need to move the pronumerals, our x's to the left-hand side and our numbers to the right-hand side. So what you should have started off with is minusing the 2x to both sides of the equation. This brings all of the x's to the left-hand side. So we have x plus 1 equals 5. What we then want to do is minus the 1 to both sides, leaving us with x equals 4. For example 4, we have an equation with a fraction. What we want to do first is we want to plus the 1 to both sides here. This leaves us with x over 3 equals 8. Then what we want to do is multiply both sides by that denominator of 3 so that we can get rid of that fraction there. So we want to, like I said, sorry, I'm just giving myself some more room, like I do sometimes. Oops, there we go. We want to multiply both sides by 3. This gives us the answer of x equals 24. Finally, example 5 is equations with brackets or grouping symbols. Our first step is to expand our bracket or grouping symbol by multiplying the number on the outside to both terms on the inside. So this means we want to go 2 times x is 2x plus 2 times 5 is 10 equals 20. We then want to minus the 10 from both sides. This leaves us with 2x equals 10. Then what we want to do is we want to get rid of that 2 that's attached to our x by dividing both sides by 2 to get x equals 5. They are our answers to your 5 do now questions. So in this lesson today, what we are doing is we're going to solve equations involving two fractions. Now we need to look back at when we had equations when we looked at algebraic fractions back in the first topic. What we have to do is we have to make the denominators the same for our fractions before we can solve our equation. So with this first one here, we have x over 3 plus x over 5 equals 4. So what we want to do is we want to multiply that first fraction by the opposite denominator of 5. And we want to multiply the second fraction by the opposite denominator of 3. So how we do this is we're left with 5x plus 3x, and then we multiply our denominators together of 3 times 5, which is 15, and we let it equal what we have as our 4 there. I might just go through that a little bit slower. So what I just did was I went 5 times my numerator of x. For my first one, I copied down my plus sign here, and then I went 3 times my second numerator of x. I put this all over, and I multiplied my denominators together of 5 times 3 and let that equal the 4. So we just copied down that equal 4. So we have 5 times x is 5x plus 3 times x is 3x, all over 15 equals 4. What I want to do is I want to get rid of that all over 15. So I'm going to multiply both sides of my equation now by 15. What I'm also going to do is on my numerator here, I have like terms. I have 5x plus 3x. So I'm going to add 5x to 3x, and when I do, I get 8x equals 4 times 15 is 60. Then what I need to do is I need to get rid of that 8 that is attached to the x. So I'm going to divide both sides by 8. So that leaves me with x equals 60 divided by 8 is 7.5. And that is my answer for my first one. We can check that. Okay, so remember we can always check our answers. How we check our answers is we substitute in our x value of 7.5 wherever we have an x in our equation. And what we're wanting is for 7.5 over 3 plus 7.5 over 5 to equal 4. And when we put that into our calculator, it does in fact equal 4. Please copy that down. For example 2, what we have is x over 4 minus x over 3. So what I want to do is I want to multiply my first numerator by 3. I might even write it up the top. So I'm going to go 3 times x, and then I want to multiply my second numerator by the opposite denominator of 4. And remember, we multiply our denominators together. So what this is going to look like is 3 times our x. Then we copy our minus sign down, and then we have our 4 times our x all over our denominators multiplied together of 4 times 3 equals 5. So then we just multiply on our tops. So we have 3x minus 4x all over 12 is equal to 5. We then want to get rid of this denominator of 12, so we're going to multiply both sides of our equal sign by 12. 5 times 12 is equal to 60, and at the same time we have like terms on our numerator of 3x minus 4x, so we want to perform this operation. When we do, we get negative x equals our 5 times 12, I said before, was 60. Now, we don't want to know what negative x is, we want to know what positive x is. So what we want to do here is we want to divide both sides by negative 1, and when we do that, we are left with negative x divided by negative 1 is x, and 60 divided by negative 1 is negative 60. Please make sure you've copied that down. Our next and final example, sorry, just checking that is the last one. We have 2x over 5 plus x over 2 equals 3. So we want to multiply that first numerator by the opposite denominator of 2. We want to multiply that second numerator by the opposite denominator of 5. We have our plus sign in between, and we want to multiply our denominators together. So what this will look like is 2 times our 2x plus 5 times our x all over our 5 times 2 equals our 3. So 2 times 2x is 4x plus 5 times x is 5x all over our denominator of 10 is equal to 3. We then want to multiply both sides of our equal sign by that 10 to remove that denominator and collect like terms with our numerators. So 4x plus 5x is 9x equals 3 times 10 is 30. We then want to remove the 9 from the x. It's currently touching, which means times, so we have to divide 9 to both sides. When we divide 9 to both sides, we get x is equal to 10 over 3 as an improper fraction. As a decimal, you would have got 3.33333 or 3 repeater. If you just hit your SC button, it will turn it into a fraction for you. Alrighty, what you are doing once you've copied this down is page 7, I believe, should look like this in your booklets for me, please.